The following content is created by Manna in the Journey.
Our scripture reading is from the book of Luke chapter 15 verses 11 through 32.
A certain man had 2 sons, and the younger of them said to his father, "Father, give me the portion of goods that falls to me." So he divided to them his livelihood. And not many days after, the younger son gathered all together, journeyed to a far country, and there wasted his possessions with prodigal living. But when he had spent all, there arose a severe famine in that land, and he began to be in want. Then he went and joined himself to a citizen of that country, and he sent him into his fields to feed swine. And he would gladly have filled his stomach with the pods that the swine ate, and no one gave him anything. But when he came to himself, he said, "How many of my father's hired servants have bread enough and to spare, and I perish with hunger? I will arise and go to my father, and will say to him, 'Father, I have sinned against heaven and before you, and I am no longer worthy to be called your son. Make me like one of your hired servants.' And he arose and came to his father. But when he was still a great way off, his father saw him and had compassion, and ran and fell on his neck and kissed him. And the son said to him, 'Father, I have sinned against heaven and in your sight, and am no longer worthy to be called your son.' But the father said to his servants, 'Bring out the best robe and put it on him, and put a ring on his hand and sandals on his feet. And bring the fatted calf here and kill it, and let us eat and be merry. For this my son was dead and is alive again. He was lost and is found.' And they began to be merry. Now his older son was in the field. And as he came and drew near to the house, he heard music and dancing. So he called one of the servants and asked what these things meant. And he said to him, 'Your brother has come, and because he has received him safe and sound, your father has killed the fatted calf.' But he was angry and would not go in. Therefore his father came out and pleaded with him. So he answered and said to his father, 'Lo, these many years I have been serving you. I never transgressed your commandment at any time. And yet you never gave me a young goat that I might make merry with my friends. But as soon as this son of yours came, who has devoured your livelihood with harlots, you killed the fatted calf for him.' And he said to him, 'Son, you are always with me, and all that I have is yours. It was right that we should make merry and be glad, for your brother was dead and is alive again, and was lost and is found.'"
The Bible tells the story of the prodigal son, a young man who seemed to have it all, a father who loved him, a roof over his head, and everything he might need to live a stable life. But there came a time when this young man grew tired of the life he was living. He was bored of seeing the same faces and doing the same thing every day. He decided it was time to explore. He asked his father for his share of the inheritance, and he set out in search of his purpose. He wanted to find out why he was alive. As soon as the prodigal son left home, he started down an unknown path. which eventually led him to a distant land. Although the garden there were full of roses, behind its wall lay only misery of sickness and pain. In 1 John chapter 2 verse 16, quote, "For all that is in the world, the lust of the flesh, the lust of the eyes, and the pride of life, is not of the Father, but is of the world." John spoke of three illusions that mislead many: the lust of the flesh, the lust of the eyes, and the pride of life. These can be compared to deserts disguised as oases. They present a false reality, advertising the pleasure of the world as something that can satisfy us in life. However, in the end, they result in an unfulfilled life without hopes and dreams. John explains that these are trademarks of the world, and they do not come from God the Father. What had at first appeared to be a garden of roses turned out to be a squalid pigsty. Solomon said in Proverbs chapter 14, verse 12, quote, "There is a way that seems right to a man, but its end is the way of death." No matter what mistakes you made, it is never too late to start again.